Here we are, guys, in part 38 of this story. In the land of waves, our favorite blonde encounters the Kyuubi. Watch the subsequent events unfold as Naruto uses the power that was sealed inside of him on the day of his birth. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Now, let's begin. Sakura-chan called out Naruto as he approached his pink-haired teammate. Good. Hurry up and get a seal ready to seal the Hachibi's chakra in Yugito. I don't know if I can keep this jutsu up for much longer, said Sakura as she continued to channel chakra into the resuscitation seal. As she was alerted to the presence of others arriving with B, she was surprised to see the degree of injury on Karu, Amoy, and Kiba. However, the most serious of the bunch was Akamaru. What happened? Asked Sakura. One of those Akatsuki creeps, he got Akamaru with this weird jutsu, replied Kiba. Now that I'm holding him, I can tell Haku was right. He's alive, but he's weak. Sakura cursed. She couldn't let off this seal or she'd lose Yugito. After struggling to get the Kumajin Chiriki's vitals beating again, she wasn't sure if she'd be able to do it again, even with the resuscitation seal. Kiba and Karu, while severely injured, could wait, but Hakamaru needed some work quick. I can sense your panic. Sakura came out of her frantic thoughts as a voice came out of Naruto's mouth. But it wasn't Naruto's voice. Keep on that seal, I'll handle the dog. You? But how? Asked Sakura. No offense, Kurama-san, but I've never known my teammate to have the best chakra control and healing him. Is something I've done before, remember? Sakura's memories quickly flashed back to their encounter with the Sound 4. She had been told that someone had stabilized Sasuke in the field before the medical team arrived. Later, her master told her that she believed it was the Kyuubi who healed Sasuke. Add on the fact that the Kyuubi's chakra managed to heal Fu, as well as granting Naruto his ridiculous healing factor, and she knew Kurama was right. I understand, relented Sakura. But I need Naruto to make that seal. I don't know how much longer this jutsu is going to last. Naruto Kurama made a few shadow clones and it was obvious Naruto's persona was present in the clones as they went to designing a seal to seal the Hachibi's chakra in Yugito. As the Naruto clone went to work, Kurama knelt down next to Akamaru. You're, gasped Kiba. Leave him to me, boy, spoke Kurama. Kiba was initially slightly irritated at being called boy by Naruto until he remembered this was the 1,000-year-old demon he was talking to. Please help him, begged Kiba. A cloak of red chakra enveloped Kurama as he extended the cloak into Akamaru's wound. Kiba watched as his partner cringed as the chakra touched him, but as the flow of blood from the wound practically stopped, a sense of relief washed over him as some energy returned to his best friend. That'll hold until he can get the attention of a proper doctor, said Kurama. But, there's a chance he may have some sort of reaction to my chakra. I really don't know. What do you mean? Asked Kiba. My chakra's different than most. While the Uchiha didn't exhibit any reaction to my chakra, that's not saying your dog won't. I cannot say, only time will tell, said Kurama. What'll happen to him if he does? Asked Kiba. And wait, didn't Naruto use your chakra to heal Fu? Why didn't she show any sort of reaction? My chakra, without my will, is wild. It amplifies emotions and can run wild if not tamed. Like I said, it's only a chance that may happen. There's also a chance that nothing will happen. As for Fu, she already has Bija chakra in her system, said Kurama. I'm done, announced one of the Naruto clone. Naruto took control of his body as the clone dispelled, sending him the knowledge of what the seal was. The blonde seal master had deigned a 12-trigram demonic seal based on the Uzumaki clan demonic sealing techniques that would allow for the tightest control on the Hachibi's chakra. Kurama was right about Bija chakra. Without a Bija to control the chakra, it could easily get out of control. This seal would allow just barely a trickle of Bija chakra in Yugito's system while preventing it from overtaking her control. However, that didn't mean it couldn't get out of control, but even that would prove to be difficult. The other issue presented is without the actual Bija sealed within her, there was a limit on the amount of Bija chakra inside her. The only way that Bija chakra could regenerate was for the actual Bija to be present. The amount of chakra he could seal within Yugito should be enough to last her for many decades. In the event she had to tap into the Bija chakra within her, that could rapidly deplete her supply, and once someone who contains Bija chakra no longer has any, they die. Naruto knew this from the conversations he was having with Kurama while figuring out how he'd seal a portion of the Hachibi within the X-Jinchuriki. Octopops, are you ready? Asked Naruto. Immediately, 11 more clones popped into existence and each grabbed a scroll with part of the seal that had been made up. Positioning themselves in a circle around Yugito and B, the 12 Narutos unrolled the scroll. "Let's do it," said B as he offered Naruto a fist. As Naruto bumped fists with B, the elder Jinchuriki took on a chakra cloak. "Right. Secret Uzumaki Fun, 12 trigram demonic seal," exclaimed Naruto as the seal activated, sending the sealing matrix towards Yugito as the 12 points of the seal converged on Yugito's stomach and a vortex-like seal appeared. As B moved the octopus-like tail over the sealing matrix, the red Bija chakra was sucked into the seal. Yugito ni, Jinchuriki of the Nibi, was falling. She couldn't quite pinpoint where she was or what was going on, but if she had to guess, it was like she was sinking further and further into the darkness. As she sank, people she knew, or at least people she thought she should know, drifted away. Who were they? What were they to her? As more people passed her, her vision grew darker. Yes, she knew now, she knew what was happening. She was dying. Lil 2. Yugito. Yugito. Yes, that was her name. But who was saying her name? And had she stopped sinking? She didn't notice that until just now. Yugito. There it was again. Who was calling her name? And what were those two specks in the distance? Were they growing bigger? Were they coming towards her? "Yo, get up, Lil 2, let's go, everyone's waiting for you, Bakayaro Kanoiro." Was that? No, it couldn't be Master B. But why could she remember him when she could barely remember her own name? As the two figures in the distance approached her, she could finally make out who they were. Uzumaki Naruto. Master B. But why did she remember them? Wait, her memories were starting to come back as all of the faces that had passed her started to come back. Karu, Amoi, Samui, Reikage-sama, everyone. She remembered them. Naruto? B-sama? Yo, looks like you remember. Now come on and don't just surrender, Rap B. "Come on, Yugito Nijin," said Naruto as the two of them offered her a hand. She reached out, not really expecting anything to be there for her to grasp onto, after all she was dying. But as her hands touched theirs, a flash of light blinded her. As the sealing of the Hachibi's chakra into Yugito concluded, Sakura gently eased off the resuscitation seal. Despite the lack of her life support, her heartbeat and breathing continued under their own power as life returned to the blonde Kunoichi. A smile came to Sakura's face as she observed this, and she wasn't the only one. The two conscious Kumo ninja noticed this as well, and as Amoi regained conscious, he was immediately drawn to a breathing Yugito. A hoarse groan escaped Yugito's mouth as she struggled to open her eyes. As if they had never been injured, Kuronamoi jumped to Yugito's side as she slowly struggled to sit up, an unknown source of energy revitalizing them. "Yugito!" The two Kumo shinobi cried out as they embraced their revived comrade. To say Yugito was confused was an understatement as she looked around to see not only her teammates, but also B-sama, Naruto, Sakura, and Kiba around her. In addition to those around her, a few more appeared from the trees. "Well, it looks like you've had some luck here," said Kakashi as he, Sai, Haku, Neji, and Samui finally managed to join them. Everyone definitely looked like they had seen better days. Some minor wounds and burn marks littered the five of them, with a few more major injuries present as well, but Neji was the worst of them all, sustaining 2 deep puncture wounds. Even still, the injuries were not life-threatening, and the Konoha Jonin found himself able to move without too much discomfort. "Kakashi-sensei," cheered Naruto and Sakura. "If you're here, then does that mean?" asked Naruto. "Well, kind of," said Kakashi. Even he wasn't quite sure what to make of this. "What do you mean? You killed those Akatsuki bastards, right?" asked Kiba. "Kakuzu is dead, as for the other, well, I'm not sure how to explain this," said Kakashi as he motioned to Neji. "Oi! Let go of my fucking hair. Jashin-sama will have your soul for this," spat Hidan as Neji pulled Hidan's head out of a bag he had slung over his shoulder. Everyone who was witnessing this talking head just stared wide-eyed at the talking head. The hell? How? It's part of his jutsu." Yugito struggled to speak, still trying to find her voice. "Muratabi." Yugito fell silent at the silence within her. Muratabi was gone. "Hachibi-sama gave you a little loner, else you would have certainly been a gunner," explained B. Octopops said. Translated Naruto, only to be stopped by Yugito. "I heard. You guys sealed part of the Hachibi's chakra inside me," said Yugito. "Hey, how the fuck are you still alive?" shouted Hidan. Jashin-sama should have consumed you by now. Oh, now you're making me mad, and when I get mad. Shut up. This killer bee won't sit while you open your trap. No, just remember where you're at, Bakuyaro Kanoyoro, exclaimed B as he scolded Hidan, putting his finger a little too close to the Akatsuki member's mouth. Youch. Hidan took this opportunity to bite down hard on B's finger. Everyone present couldn't help but sweat drop as B had somehow gotten into an argument with a talking head. Yeah, this would definitely rank right up there with the weirdest things they've ever seen. A crash of thunder in the distance alerted everyone to the events transpiring a few kilometers away. Where'd that storm come from? Asked Kuro. She was certain there were no storms in the area when they raced here, and the geography wasn't exactly ideal for freak storms like the one that appeared to be barreling down on them. I don't know, but it sure came quick. Maybe we should get out of here before the storm gets bigger. We don't want to get struck by lightning. If we do, then. Can IT? Shouted Kuro. Samui just sweat dropped at her team's antics. Just as they said that, a massive bolt of lightning touched down in the center of the storm and a slight tremor shook the ground, causing Amoi to panic slightly more. That's not a storm, said Kakashi. To think he would use that, then he really is fighting Itachi. Kakashi took a quick look at everyone around. He, Naruto, Sakura, and Sai looked to be the only ones in half-decent shape. Haku was relatively uninjured, but starting to show signs of chakra exhaustion. In addition, the Kumo ninja didn't appear as if they were in a position where they wanted to fight. They should be okay for the moment. Naruto, let's go. Right. Naruto, you'd better bring him back, said Sakura as she turned to her blonde teammate about to depart. Don't worry, team will be just fine, I promise, T-Bio, replied Naruto before he and Kakashi darted off at high speeds to rendezvous with Guy, Sasuke, and Karen. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto turned to his sensei as the two sped through the trees. What was that just now? You're not the only one to have developed their own rank jutsu, said Kakashi. The jutsu in question is called Kirin and it's Sasuke's most powerful jutsu. However, after he completed it, he promised himself he wouldn't use that jutsu until he fought Itachi. So that means... Yes, unlike last time, Sasuke is fighting the real Itachi. Sasuke-kun, shouted Karen as she crawled out from her hiding place to find Sasuke lying on the ground in the middle of a wrecked battlefield. She could still sense his chakra, but it was weak. As she shook Sasuke, the Uchiha stirred a little and she rolled up a sleeve on her arm. Here, bite down, you'll feel better. As Sasuke bit down onto Karen's arm, the female Uzumaki cried out in a mix of pain and ecstasy. Within seconds, Sasuke could feel the energy return to him as he struggled to his feet. Looking over at the lifeless body of Itachi, Sasuke dropped to his brother's side. He still couldn't believe it. Was Itachi really dead? Did he really kill Itachi? I did it, gasped Sasuke, still in disbelief that the moment he had prepared himself for had finally come. In all honesty, he half expected that he'd die himself, but as long as Itachi died with him, that'd be okay. Yet, here he was, alive while Itachi lay dead by his hand. Oh Sasuke-kun! Karen called out. As Sasuke turned to her attention, the redhead had removed her glasses and slightly unbuttoned her jacket, revealing enough cleavage that would make a certain super pervert sing like a canary. Kakashi-san and Niazan won't be here for a few minutes. Why don't we take this opportunity to celebrate, and perhaps start on that other ambition of yours? Sasuke's mind went blank as he tried desperately to reboot it while Karen slowly continued unbuttoning her jacket, revealing more of herself to the man of her desires. As the Uchiha's mind returned to him, a different form of panic set in, one that valued his life and didn't want to end up on the wrong end of Sakura's fury. Karen. Sasuke slowly backed up, only to trip over a piece of broken battlefield. You know I have a girlfriend, right? So, she's not here, replied Karen as she continued seducing Sasuke. Besides, watching you fight like that, I'm so turned on. Yep, it's official, Naruto's cousin was a crazy, horny fangirl. As Sasuke desperately looked around for some sign of escape, some way to get out of this, something he could quickly replace himself with upon a torn-apart field littered with logs and rocks, his salvation came as Karen closed her eyes and went for a kiss. Karen practically squealed in her head as her lips met something soft. See, now that wasn't so bad, sang Karen as she pulled away. However, all of her excitement crashed in a blazing fury as she opened her eyes, to see that she was straddling Guy. Am I interrupting something? Asked Guy, whose face had gone completely red. more so than Karen's hair. Karen let out a high-pitched scream as she punched the green-clad Jonin away from her, effectively knocking him out. "Sorry Guy-sensei, but sometimes sacrifices have to be made," said Sasuke from a tree branch nearby. "Sasuke?" Sasuke turned his attention to the source of his name to see a certain blonde start to panic. "Karen Nijin. Where is she? I just heard her scream now." "Calm down Obi. She's down there. Her and Guy-sensei are just working a few things out," said Sasuke as he pointed to a raging Karen and an unconscious Guy. "Whoa, what happened here?" asked Naruto as he surveyed the carnage of the battlefield. However, his attention was drawn immediately to the body of one Uchiha Itachi. "Is that?" "Yeah, my brother's dead," replied Sasuke. That comment should have brought him joy, relief, and happiness. "So, why didn't it?" "So Sasuke-kun finally killed Itachi?" asked White Zetsu as the plant-like Akatsuki rose up from a branch a distance away from where Sasuke had battled his brother. "It's a shame really. Itachi was never with us," added Black Zetsu. "What? Really? He could have fooled me," said White Zetsu. Suddenly, the air near Zetsu swirled and Tobi and Kisame appeared. "So Itachi-san's dead? It's a shame really," said Kisame. "No. Itachi's loyalties never were with us," said Tobi in an uncharacteristically deep voice. "We'll be better off without him leaking our moves." "So why did you pull me away from fighting that guy? It's been a while since I've really been able to cut loose and I was just starting to have fun, Tobi, or should I say, Mizukage-sama?" grinned Kisame. "Pain has managed to remove the seal from the Rakubi. We should begin extraction immediately," said Tobi. "And what about Sasuke-kun?" asked White Zetsu. "Are we really going to leave him?" "He lacks the hatred he needs," said Tobi. "He is too much of an unknown factor right now. That will of fire is indeed a pain. It'll need to be extinguished first before he can become useful." Naruto, Kakashi, Guy, Sasuke, and Karen jumped beyond the trees into the clearing where everyone was supposed to be. However, something was different. The first thing they noticed was the atmosphere between everyone was unusually tense. The second was a battered and bruised Killer Bee. And the third was that they had a visitor, the Raikage. As Kakashi and Sasuke were immediately on guard, the Raikage held up his hand and spoke. "Relax, Hatake Kakashi, Uchiha Sasuke, I'm not here to cause trouble," said the Raikage. However, Sasuke and Kakashi still didn't trust this man's words. "I just came here looking for my idiot brother who's supposed to be back in the village. I was also hoping to get a chance to beat those Akatsuki bastards into the ground myself, but it appears as if you beat me to it." "Oi, if you wanna go, come here and I'll give you a piece of my mind," shouted Hidan. Even the Raikage had to admit that a talking head ranked right up there with the weirdest things he's seen. "And this is?" asked the Raikage, pointing to said head. "The one responsible for killing me," growled Yugito as the Raikage got a glint in his eyes. Neji pulled Hidan's head away from the Raikage. "I apologize, but I will not allow you to harm him." Hidan let out a sigh of relief. Yet, and the look of relief on Hidan's face was gone. "Our prisoner likely possesses valuable information on Akatsuki and I'm sure our interrogation specialists would love to spend some quality time with him first." The Raikage took a moment to collect himself before turning to Naruto's team. "My subordinates have filled me in on everything that's happened," said the Raikage. "The fact that they sealed away the Nibi is disturbing and unforgivable, but for Yugito to still be alive." This came as a little bit of a surprise to the Konoha ninja as the Raikage lowered his guard and sounded almost bewildered and remorseful. "Why did you do it? Tell me, why did you help save Yugito?" "Because, while our villages don't see eye to eye, there was no way I was going to let those Akatsuki bastards kill Yugito Nijin," replied Naruto. The way in which Naruto referred to Yugito surprised the Raikage. "Still, we've been enemies for years. Your comrades have killed my subordinates and my subordinates have killed your comrades. Why all of a sudden did you decide to help Yugito? What is she to you?" questioned the Raikage. "Because she's like a sister to me. Because she's like me." Flashback, Kumagakura Chunin exams, second round, at the mountain base. It was the last full day before the second exam would come to a close the following and Naruto still couldn't get the conversation he had with Fu off of his mind as he wandered the base just before dinner. Were all Jinchuriki like this? B and Yugito seemed well respected in Kumo, but the interrogation test showed him that perhaps Kumagakura wasn't a Jinchuriki's paradise either. Walking into the main living area, Naruto spotted a certain cat-like Kunoichi sitting in the main area. Figuring he'd take a shot, Naruto took a seat on a chair nearby Yugito. "Hey Nichan," greeted Naruto as he took a seat near Yugito. Even the Kumakunoichi found it slightly amusing as to how Naruto referred to her, but even without asking why, she could tell why. Regardless of their village affiliation, they shared a special bond that could only be shared amongst other Jinchuriki. "So, what's it like living here?" Yugito was taken aback by that question. "What's this? Don't tell me you're thinking of defecting to Kumo?" teased Yugito. Naruto smiled, but shook his head. "I mean, I talked with Fu this morning. She's hated by her entire village. The one person who actually liked her was taken away by that bastard Orochimaru. And then there's Gaara, whose own father tried to kill him countless times. As for me, well, let's just say my birthday involves running for my life. But the worst of it all are the looks, the way the villagers just want you to disappear." "I see," sighed Yugito. "I'd be lying if I said things weren't like that here. You saw in the first round, many of those prisoners were people of Kumagakure who tried to attack either myself or B-sama because of what we are. While we've gained the respect and praise of many people in Kumagakure, it was a long and hard battle. When the Hachibi reappeared, after its previous host died, many shinobi died trying to seal it away in B-sama. For years, he lived as an outcast with only the support of his brother." "I see, so the Raikage is kind of like Hiruka-sensei," replied Naruto, earning a questioning look from Yugito. "He was the first one to look at me as a person and not a thing or a monster." "Yes, I see. Raikage-sama is important to me as well. He was the one to show me I was something other than a plague. I was born in a small village on the outskirts of Lightning Country. To this day, neither I nor Matatabi know how she came to be sealed in me, but that didn't stop the villagers from hating us. Something happened in that village. Right before I was born, the dead would rise at night. Many villagers place the blame for these occurrences on the Nibi no Kaneko, and while it's true that she was the cause of this, even she doesn't know exactly why. Her memory's kind of fuzzy from the time just before she came to be sealed within me, and neither of us know why. Suddenly, one night 13 years ago, this curse as they called it just stopped and the Nibi disappeared. Everything was good for the next 4 years until my mother fell ill and died. I was too young at the time to fully comprehend what had happened. All I knew was that I wanted to feel my mother's warm arms hug me again. And then, I somehow tapped into the power of the Nibi and my mother's dead body rose to life. Initially, I was happy. I was glad to see that my mother was okay, but something wasn't right. This person standing in front of me wasn't my mother. It was nothing but a dead puppet that looked like my mother. I got scared and I guess I released more of the Nibi's power from myself in a panic, causing more of the dead to rise up once again. However, my father was there to witness the whole event. I cried to him, looking for some sort of comfort, someone to protect me from what was going on, continued Yugito as a saddened look appeared across her face. However, my father panicked away from me in fear, grabbing a knife and threatening me with it. I remember cowering away before he turned the knife on himself. His last words burned clearly into my brain: how could I have brought such a monster into this world? After that, I lived on my own for the next 2 years, barely surviving when the rest of the villagers hated and feared me. They saw me as the one responsible for the plagues upon their village. When I was 6, I guess the villagers asked Kumagakure to get rid of me. It was when the Kumo shinobi came that I met Raikage-sama. Well, when we met he wasn't the Raikage yet, but he looked at me differently. He was commissioned to kill me, to eliminate me and the very plague I brought upon the world, but he didn't. He took me away from the village, introduced me to B-sama, and accepted me. I know he can be very hot-headed at times, but Raikage-sama's like a father to me. End flashback. Because she's like me, I can understand the pain that she's been through. While our villages might be divided, we share a special bond that only Octopops, Gaara, and the other Jinchuriki can share, declared Naruto. We may come from different villages. We may share different ideals. But in the end, we're all brothers and sisters. And you can be damned if you think I would turn my back on my family. Konoha, early the following morning. Tsunade-sama. Shizune burst through the door out of breath. Team Kakashi and Guy, Neji, Kiba, and Haku have returned. Tsunade raised her eyebrow at the last one. Guy, Neji, Kiba, and Haku were supposed to have been on their patrol duties. If they were back, did that mean they found Akatsuki? Right, send them in. That's not all, Tsunade-sama, said Shizune, afraid at how her master was going to take the next part. They are accompanied by the Raikage and a team from Kumagakure. What? Damn it. What did that Gaki do now? Swore Tsunade. Of course, Naruto was also present in this group. Why wouldn't he be? The last thing she needed this early in the morning was an international mess caused by Naruto. Who are these ninja from Kumagakure? I believe 3 of them are Amoi, Karu, and Samui. There are 2 more though, Yugito Ni and Killer Bee, said Shizune. Why were both of Kumo's Jinchuriki in the wreckage at the gates of Konoha? What does our most recent report say regarding the movement of Kumagakure's forces? Asked Tsunade as an Anbu appeared in front of her. Hi, Hokage-sama. This morning's report indicates that Kumo's shinobi have been withdrawing from various positions along our borders. Withdrawing? Well, that was certainly something she didn't expect. Tsunade-sama, should I? No, Shizune. I'll go see what bring our guest to our doorsteps personally. The presence of the wreckage certainly drew a crowd as more and more villagers gathered at the gate, wondering why the wreckage of all people was here and why he was accompanied by these 2 Konoha teams. The crowd parted just enough for Tsunade to walk through to meet her fellow Kage. Well, this certainly is unexpected, said Tsunade as she sent a glare towards Naruto, causing the blonde to flinch slightly. Yeah, he had something to do with this all right. So tell me, what brings Mr. High and Mighty Raikage to my neck of the woods? Akatsuki, was all the Raikage said. She figured as much. Between there being 3 Jinchuriki present, a Kage, and a team that was formed specifically to track Akatsuki, it made sense. Can we take this somewhere more private? Also, my subordinate requires additional medical attention. Your apprentice did a good job at patching her up, but I feel she could use a more thorough treatment. Tsunade looked over at the redhead Kunoichi. She could see the bandages and tell from here that Sakura did a good job patching her up. Regardless, that had been done. In the field, and the girl could use the resources of a hospital to fully heal. Not to mention a few of her own shinobi could use a trip to the hospital, and then there was a certain dog. Part of her wanted to slam the gates shut on the wreckage right now as payback for the Chunin exams. But the doctor in her was saying that she would help any injured person, regardless of village affiliation. And then there was the wreckage who was acting uncharacteristically calm and professional, yet she could sense a hint of desperation in his voice. Very well, she said, motioning to an Anbu. The Anbu handed her a bunch of chakra suppression bracelets. But first you must put these on. Tsunade handed the cuffs to Raikage and his entourage. To say that she was surprised when the Raikage simply accepted them and put them on was an understatement. This man was just as thick-headed as herself and Naruto, and yet here he was, putting up with everything. Tsunade dismissed those who needed treatment to the hospital or vet while she escorted the Raikage, B, Yugito, and Samui, along with Kakashi, Neji, Haku, Kai, Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto to her office. Upon reaching the office and ensuring they had their privacy, everything was explained: Yugito's kidnapping by Akatsuki, Naruto's decision to go after them, the battles against Akatsuki, Sakura working to bring Yugito back to life, and Naruto sealing part of the Hachibi in Yugito. Tsunade now found her attention drawn to a certain blonde. What do you have to say for yourself, Uzumaki Naruto? This was only supposed to be a mission to retrieve the archives of Ozoshigakure, and yet it ended with you saving one of Kumagakure's strongest shinobi? I understand the severity behind my actions, Hokage-sama, said Naruto seriously. I'll accept whatever punishment you give me, but just know there was no way I was going to let Akatsuki get away with killing Yahito Nijin. T-by-o. Actually, Shishu, if you're punishing Naruto, you're going to have to punish me as well, said Sakura, taking a step forwards and surprising everyone. What are you doing, Sakura-chan? This was my decision, objected Naruto. I know. But it was my decision to revive Yugito. I could have just left her but I felt I owed her a debt for her past actions, said Sakura. Don't punish them too severely, Hokage Dono, stated the Raikage, sternly. Regardless of whether or not their actions were their own, I am forced to admit that perhaps I have been wrong about your shinobi. Tsunade just stood there stupefied. Was that supposed to be the Raikage's attempts at an apology? Forgive me if I don't quite understand what you're saying, but is that an apology coming out of your mouth? No. Denied the Raikage. Of course, the Raikage would never openly apologize. However, it has come to my attention that the Akatsuki present a very real threat, if the rumors regarding an incident in Senogakure are true. Still, I'd like to think the efforts made by my village and Suna have proved to be effective against Akatsuki. We've already managed to kill or capture 4 of their members, said Tsunade. Of course, your village's actions have only helped to distract our full efforts from confronting Akatsuki. I understand, spoke the Raikage. If it'll help bring an end to the Akatsuki threat, I've ordered my subordinates to not interfere with any of Konoha's activities, so long as they're not attacked first. For Tsunade, this explained the Anbu reports she received earlier. Also, I'll be removing any Konoha shinobi that were added to our books during the past few years. That includes you, Uchiha Sasuke. Now Tsunade was starting to get intrigued. Having her shinobi removed from Kumo's books would relieve much of the trouble. Not only for her, but also for those shinobi who found themselves targeted for their bounty. Tsunade sat in silence for a moment, reflecting on everything that had just transpired. Despite Naruto going against Konoha's interests, his actions had the Raikage at her mercy. Konoha had been successfully dealing with Akatsuki, and yet Kumo just lost one of their Jinchuriki to the terrorist organization, only for Konoha of all people to assist in a somewhat successful recovery operation. Of course the Raikage would never admit his wrong, but even Tsunade could tell the above concessions were his attempt at such. Very well, I will consider that there may be something gained with our villages cooperating regarding Akatsuki. Speaking of which, Tsunade turned to Kakashi, wanting to get the most recent intel out of her top jonin. We initially encountered two Akatsuki members, Kakuzu and Hidan, said Kakashi. Tsunade's eyes snapped open. Kakuzu? But the only Kakuzu I know is the one who tried to kill my grandfather nearly 100 years ago. Surely it can't be that Kakuzu? Kakashi nodded. I'm afraid that was the case. And that's not even the strangest case, but I'll get to that in a minute, said Kakashi. Akatsuki also sent two additional members as backup, Hoshige Kisame and Uchiha Itachi. At the mention of the last name, Tsunade looked over towards Sasuke. In the past, anytime Itachi's name was mentioned, anger and rage filled Sasuke's eyes. However, now Sasuke's eyes were full of relief, disbelief, and was that sadness? What did that mean? And what of these Akatsuki members? Asked Tsunade. Kakuzu and Uchiha Itachi were killed. While Kakuzu's body was unrecoverable, we have Itachi's body for confirmation. Hoshige Kisame fled his battle with Guy, and Hidan well. Fuck, there's more of you? Shouted Hidan as Neji pulled his head out of the bag. Shizune stiffened. What was she looking at? Was this head talking? And why was it giving her that creepy stare? Who wants to explain this one to me? Asked Tsunade, more intrigued than freaked out. It's some weird jutsu he has as a result of some weird cult, replied Naruto. Oi! Jashin-sama is not some mere cult. He is the god and lord of this world. You should all bow down and submit your souls to Jashin-sama. Preached Hidan. Jashin, I think I've heard of that name before in some old clan documents, thought Tsunade. The Hokage motioned to Ananbu. Please take our guest to Ibiki. I think he'll be rather intrigued by this one. Neji passed Hidan's head off to the Anbu as the operative bowed before leaving for the interrogation department. Two Akatsuki members killed and one, well I guess captured is the correct word, mugged Suant. Sasori of the Red Sands, Deidara, Uchiha Itachi, Hoshige Kisame, and now Hidan and Kakuzu, the man who supposedly almost killed my grandfather. Akatsuki's sure got some frightening names. Which is why I'm here, said the Raikage. They managed to defeat Yugito, one of my strongest ninja, and if what I've heard is true regarding an incident in Sunagakure, we can't afford to dance around this issue any longer. I am calling a Kage's summit to address the issue of Akatsuki. 3 weeks from now in the Land of Iron. I see, replied Tsunade. While they were already working together with Suna to counter Akatsuki, she had to admit if they could get more villages to coordinate on combating Akatsuki, then perhaps they could eliminate this threat quicker. Before she gave her answer, Tsunade turned to the shinobi still in her office. You're all dismissed for now. Raikage Dono, I will allow you and your companions stay in the village for a day or two to rest, but if I hear a single complaint, you have my word that they will behave themselves, right? For some reason, the Raikage directed this question specifically at his brother. If not, they will feel the wrath of my iron fist. This earned a gulp out of a certain killer bee. Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, I'll postpone my judgment on your actions until after the summit. However, neither of you are allowed to leave the village until then. Understood? Naruto and Sakura nodded before exiting the room with everyone else, leaving the two Kages to more private matters. I'll attend the summit on behalf of Konohagakure no Sato, affirmed Tsunade. I'd also like to request that the Jinchuriki attend, seeing as they're directly involved in this matter, requested the Raikage. That includes both of yours. What are you talking about? Naruto's our only Jinchuriki, bluffed Suant. I know about that little bug of yours, said the Raikage. I've known she was a Jinchuriki ever since Yugito reported back from the Chunin exams when they were last held in Konoha. However, I was to understand she was a member of Takigakure until we spotted her a year ago wearing a Konoha headband. A Jinchuriki changing villages is rare indeed. Care to explain? Tsunade sighed as the Raikage figured out that Fu was a member of Konoha. Simple. Taki tried to kill her so we took her in, explained Tsunade. Do you have any issues with that? No. Just curious, that's all, responded the Raikage. So, your answer on that? Sasuke was standing over an examination table in the basement of Konoha's hospital where Sakura was running the confirmation tests on Itachi's body, cross-checking his blood with what was on the Onbu records. As Sakura and Shizune exited the instrument room, Sasuke looked up at the two women. Everything matches, Sasuke-kun, acknowledged Sakura. I can confirm that is the body of Uchiha Itachi. As she turned away from Itachi's body and towards her boyfriend, she noticed something was wrong. Sasuke-kun? Asked Sakura. Her boyfriend still seemed lost. As she walked over and placed her hand on the Uchiha's shoulder, the raven-haired boy snapped out of his trance. Is everything okay? Yeah, it's just I've waited for this day to come, said Sasuke. For so long, I felt like I've been living in his shadow. I've always been looking over my shoulder, afraid that night may once again repeat itself. But now, my brother's dead. I thought I would finally be happy. So you're saying you weren't happy before? Questioned Sakura, sounding slightly insulted. Sasuke gulped as he realized he was digging himself a grave right next to Itachi's. Sakura just sighed as Sasuke struggled to find an answer, before sending him a teasing smile. Come on. Hanging out around here isn't going to help. Exiting the hospital with Sasuke in tow, the couple spotted their pale-skinned teammate walking towards them. Sai greeted Sakura. Hello, Sakura-san, Sasuke-san, responded Sai. Sasuke found himself relieved that Sai didn't use nicknames there, fearing that if Sai called Sakura ugly, there'd be at least one more body to keep Itachi's company in the morgue. Sasuke returned Sai's greeting with a typical HN and a slight wave. Sakura, may I ask you a question? Asked Sai. Sure? I guess, replied Sakura. It's about Naruto. Even though she was our enemy, why did Naruto go through so much to save Yugito? Asked Sai. I just don't understand why Naruto would do something like that. It's because Yugito-san is one of the few people who can truly understand what Naruto's life has been like, said Sakura. It's because of that they share a special bond that Naruto did what he did. Bonds? Asked Sai. I'm afraid I don't understand. Huh? Hasn't there ever been anyone special in your life? Someone you care for? A mother? A father? A brother or sister? A friend? Asked Sakura. How could someone not understand what a bond was with someone? Even if he didn't have a bond with someone, to not even know what a bond was? Sai stood there for a moment, contemplating Sakura's words. I do have a brother, said Sai. Then that means you have someone you share a bond with, replied Sakura. Your brother is someone special to you. I'm sorry. I still don't get it. My brother's dead, replied Sai emotionlessly. Sakura was taken aback by this, and even Sasuke, who had spent the later half of his life hating his now dead brother, was surprised that their teammate's response held no hint of sadness, or emotions for that matter. I'm sorry, Sai, I didn't know, apologized Sakura. Why are you apologizing? Asked Sai. I don't know, I thought you would feel sad? Said Sakura. I see. So, sadness is an appropriate emotion for someone who dies, mulled Sai. Perhaps the library will have something more on these bonds. Sai called out Sakura as the pale-skinned teen walked away, reflecting on everything he had learned. Sakura let out an annoyed huff. You can't learn everything from books. Just let him go, said Sasuke as he tried to edge Sakura along. Yeah, but last time he resorted to books, he started calling us by those insulting names, rebutted Sakura. Sasuke sighed in defeat, but there wasn't much more that they could do as Sai had already disappeared. Hyuga compound. The Hyuga patriarch took a sip of his afternoon tea while observing his nephew spar with his youngest daughter. Sitting on the porch next to him was his usual afternoon guest, one Uzumaki Naruto. While the blonde was present, the one he was seeking out was currently absent as she was finishing up a late training session with her team. Still, the absence of Hinata allowed the two men to catch up, and Hiyashi found himself quite entertained with Naruto's most recent mission. I must say I am impressed, Naruto, said Hiashi as he took a sip of his tea. Fighting 2S rank criminals and assisting in their defeat is no small feat. Yeah, and Sasuke finally managed to defeat his brother, said Naruto as he took a sip from his own cup. While he's certainly not as bad as he used to be, I've noticed that Uchiha-san still harbors a great deal of darkness from that incident, said Hiashi. Hopefully now that he's finally achieved his revenge, he can begin to truly move on. Yeah, Sasuke's been a little distant ever since coming back, replied Naruto. Just give him time. While Uchiha Itachi was a traitor, he was still Uchiha-san's brother, said Hiashi. Trust me, I know what losing a brother is like. It's not something that's easy to get over. There was a pause before the silence was broken by the arrival of a certain lavender-haired young woman. I'm home. Nisama. Cheered Hanabi as her elder sister announced her presence, entering the gate of the front courtyard. Unfortunately for Hanabi, this distraction proved to be her undoing as Neji landed a decisive blow, ending the spar in his favor. Damn it, Niazan. I almost had you there, shouted Hanabi. Perhaps you should learn not to get distracted, Hanabi-sama, replied Neji. Oh. Naruto-kun, you're back. Chirped Hinata upon noticing her blonde love. You know it, grinned Naruto. Now go get ready cause we're going out tonight. I'm okay, just give me some time to get ready, okay? Asked Hinata. As Naruto nodded. Hinata let out a sigh of relief as she stepped out of the hot bath, wrapping herself in a towel while she dried off. A nice bath was always a good idea. Not only was it good for relaxing the body after a long day of training, but the last thing she wanted to do was go on a date while dirty. Slipping on a modest outfit from her casual wardrobe, Hinata exited the bathroom, only to be confronted by a certain smaller Hyuga. You're not really thinking about going out like that, are you? Scolded Hanabi. What's wrong with what I'm wearing? Asked Hinata. Nothing, if you're going to visit Basama in the hospital, responded Hanabi. But, you're going out with Naruto Niazan. You're going to want something that shows off what you got a little better. Hinata gulped as Hanabi got a look in her eye that resembled one she had seen from a certain crazy, snake-oozing, dengo-loving Anko. Inuzuka compound. So this is Dog Boy's house? Asked Yugito to no one in particular as she entered the Inuzuka compound. Immediately, she noticed the distinct presence of the canine kind as a number of dogs were drawn to her. Despite no longer being sealed within her, having grown up with Mudatabi inside her had led her to develop a number of cat-like traits, and if Naruto smelling somewhat foxy was any indication, she was sure she smelled a little feline. While they didn't make any move, the many Inuzuka dogs watched Yugito with great curiosity as the Kumo-kuno-ichi made her way to the house where Kiba resided. Coming around a corner, she spotted the person she was looking for, sitting on the porch nearby with a heavily bandaged Akamaru at his side. How is he doing? Yugito asked Kiba. Her approach didn't startle the Inuzuka. She shouldn't have been surprised that he would have noticed her. Sis says it'll take some time before he's back to full health. But I'm just grateful that he's still here, said Kiba, petting Akamaru on the head. She said that it was due to the differences in canine and human anatomy that was the reason he survived that bastard's attack. How are you doing after, well? I'd be lying if I said I was fine, sighed Yugito, placing her hand over her heart. It hurts. This emptiness, it hurts so much. I think I can understand. She was your partner, replied Kiba. The circumstances might be different, but the Nibi, Mudatabi was it? She was like your Akamaru. When I thought I lost him, when I thought that creep killed Akamaru, I just snapped. I honestly didn't care if I lived or died at that moment. Kiba let out a solemn breath as he spoke again. Truth be told, I kind of wanted to die there. Just the thought of living on without Akamaru. But at least you still have your partner. Me, Mudatabi's gone, said Yugito as she began to shed a few tears. No, responded Kiba, the defiance in his voice grabbing Yugito's attention. She was taken, but she's not gone. If what Naruto said is true, then there's gotta be a way to get her out of that damn statue. Even if I have to rip it to shreds, I'll do whatever I can to make sure you get your partner back. Kiba wasn't entirely sure why he said what he did. In fact, what he said almost sounded Naruto-ish. Perhaps the blonde was rubbing off on him in a way. Since when did he ever care so much for a cat? But for some reason, it just felt right. Yugito had no words following Kiba's declaration. She felt content just to sit there and rest her head against Kiba's shoulders. Somehow, this helped to ease the pain a bit. Not fully, but she found the void in her soul close just a little. Konoha, late that evening. To say Hinata was uncomfortable was an understatement. Thanks to her sister's fashion advice, Hinata was now wearing something that was far too revealing for her own liking. She was wearing a pair of tight jeans that only helped to greatly accent her lower curves. However, the shorts weren't the worst part. What really had Hinata hiding herself behind Naruto was the top. She had on a loose-fitting purple and white top that cut off just around her navel. The sleeves flared out just above the hands. However, the top also revealed a little bit of cleavage, something she was in no way used to doing in public. Lastly, she had her hair tied up in a loose bun. If one didn't know better, they'd think Ino had gotten a hold of her wardrobe. In fact, while she had in fact bought these clothes a while ago, she had yet to wear them outside of her bedroom. The only other one who knew she had them was the one responsible for her wearing them right now. Before heading out on the town, she was just about to go and put her original choice in clothes on, but as Naruto caught a glimpse of her wardrobe change, the reaction on his face was priceless. She was just glad that her father had business with the Hokage and the Raikage by the time she emerged from the safety of her bedroom. Unfortunately for her, the streets of Konoha were rather busy, and while Naruto had offered to take her back home so she could change, but for some reason unknown to her, she insisted they continued. Naruto seemed to like her new outfit, and if that was the case, she'd try to put up with it for the night. "Naruto! Hinata! Eep!" shrieked Hinata as a voice on the streets called out to her, and she tried to shield herself behind Naruto. Looking around, Hinata noticed the person calling her name was Sakura, accompanied by Sasuke, both wearing clothes that said they were ready for a night out on the town. "Eh? Is that you, Hinata?" gasped Sakura upon seeing Hinata's new clothes. Well, stammered an embarrassed Hyuga. "Damn, you actually look sexy," admitted Sakura. The poor center of Sakura's attention blushed as she tried to get over her embarrassment. However, it didn't take long for Sakura to shift focus to Naruto. "Naruto, you didn't force poor Hinata to dress like this, did you?" "In my defense, all I said was we were going out tonight," defended Naruto. "I didn't even know Hinata owned clothes like this. But I do have to admit they're sexy as hell." This was probably the first time someone was referring to her as sexy, but still she couldn't help but blush at Naruto's words. "So did the two of you hear?" asked Sakura. Naruto shook his head and moved in to hear what Sakura was talking about. "Apparently there's going to be this concert going on in Senju Park featuring some foreign superstar. We figure we'd go check it out, right, Sasuke-kun?" Sasuke just shrugged, and Naruto figured that Sakura had roped him into this. However, the Uchiha looked a little less distant in Sakura's company. Hopefully it wouldn't be too much longer before Sasuke got over the shock of his brother finally being dead. "Yeah, but I still think we should have used genjutsu or disguises," the last Uchiha said, and everyone knew what he was referring to: fangirls. "I can't help but feel that park's going to be filled with fangirls." Sakura sighed. "Fine, if you really are that worried, I suppose we could at least do something about your hair. Let's go see if Ino has some hair dye or something," relented the pinkette. "We'll see you there, Naruto, Hinata." "Sounds like fun," grinned Naruto as he looked down at his date, getting a nod from her. It seemed like she was starting to get a bit more comfortable now. As the couple approached Senju Park, the crowds told the story. Everyone had heard about this mystery superstar and was eager to see who it was. As Naruto took a quick look around, trying to catch a glimpse of anyone familiar, he saw 4 blonde ponytails that could only belong to Temari. And of course, she was dragging a troubled Shikamaru. The Suna Jonin must have been in Konoha on a diplomatic mission or something and was using this as an excuse to get out with her Shikakun. Not much later, Naruto saw Sakura approach them, only instead of Sasuke, she was accompanied by Lee. "Eh? Sasuke?" questioned Naruto. Had Sasuke really gone all out on the disguise in a way only a true master of youth could? "I'm over here, Dobi," called out Sasuke, who looked like Sasuke, despite Sakura's agreeing to put on a disguise. And why was he holding hands with Yakumo? "What? When? You better not have hurt Sakura-chan, team," growled Naruto. "Baka," groaned Sakura. Of course, Naruto was going to misinterpret this situation, despite the fact that he was the one who originally came up with the idea. "We were going to disguise Sasuke, but then we ran into Lee and figured we'd put that idea of yours regarding him and Yakumo getting around the Kurama clan's disapproval." "Oh yeah, I knew that," sweated the blonde as Sakura, Sasuke, and Hinata just sweat dropped. "I suppose I can put up with the fangirls for one night," shrugged Sasuke as he and Lee performed an almost ceremonial exchange of their dates' hands. Hopefully the presence of this superstar is enough to distract them. Before anyone else could say anything, Naruto felt a kunai slice against his cheek, causing a small stream of blood to trickle down his face. A chill ran down Naruto's spine as none other than Anko licked the blood on his cheek. Naruto found himself crawling behind a certain Uchiha, who just sent him a "you were kidding, right? Look. Well, if it ain't the Gaki. And who's this?" grinned Anko, shifting her attention to Hinata. "Stepping up our game are we now, Hinata? I couldn't believe it when your sister told me about those clothes, but now that I see them, it's definitely a step in the right direction." "Anko, leave them alone," called out Zabuza as he wrangled in his crazy date. But before leaving, he whispered into Naruto's ears. "Damn, you sure are one luck guy for scoring that." As it looked like the show was about to start, they caught a glimpse of Shino and Fu. After all, there was no missing that hair. And he was certain he caught a glimpse of another Hyuga being dragged along by a certain weapons mistress. Soon, the lights around the park dimmed and a stage exploded into existence as the show began. "Yo Konoha, let me hear you say hey," rapped the one and only Killer Bee. "Sunugakuer." "Well, what is it, Gaara?" Kankuro stood before his brother in the cage's office. Tamari had recently returned from her mission in Konoha and had somehow managed to bring company with her, a messenger from Kumagakure by the name of Samue. "The Rikage has called a summit of the 5 Kages," replied Gaara. This shocked Kankuro. "It's been over a decade since the last summit. Why now?" asked Kankuro as Gaara looked up at his brother. "The last time a summit was held was right after the Third World War. For one to be called now." "It seems the Rikage mentioned that in his summons," said Gaara. "Although, not directly." "It's about Akatsuki, isn't it?" guessed Tamari, getting a nod from Gaara. "So, the rumor going around Konoha was true." "For a village to call on others to help address their problem," commented Chio, who was present in the office as one of Gaara's advisors on this matter. "To think the Rikage of all people would stoop to such levels. Chio-sama, even you have to admit that the threat of Akatsuki is too much for one village to handle. They managed to infiltrate ours and kidnap Gaara from right under our nose before," argued Kankuro. "This isn't just one village's problem." "No, Kankuro, Chio-sama is correct," replied Gaara. "The Rikage is particularly stubborn. For him to call a summit regarding the threat of Akatsuki, something must have happened. I managed to get some information while I was in Konoha," said Tamari. "Rumor has it that Akatsuki succeeded in capturing the Nibi from Kumo." "I see," said Gaara. "But I don't see how that could be possible because the Nibi's Jinchuriki, Yugito Ni, was present and alive in Konoha," replied Tamari. "She arrived the day before I left while accompanied by the Rikage and Killer Bee, the Jinchuriki of the Hachibi. They were escorted by a group of Konoha shinobi, including Uzumaki Naruto." "Uzumaki Naruto," said Gaara to no one in particular. "What did you do this time?" Kankuro picked up the summons and read it to himself, his eyes widening in shock. "What? Does the Rikage think we're stupid or something?" This caused Tamari to raise an eyebrow at her brother. Why would he request all of the Jinchuriki to attend as well? All of the Jinchuriki in one spot is just asking for trouble. Not only is it a perfect target for Akatsuki, but the Rikage doesn't exactly have the cleanest record for not trying to steal other villages' powers. And let me guess, he wants the summit held in the Land of Iron? Kankuro was confused. He was just about to bet on the summit being held in Kumagakure. "The Land of Iron, they're a neutral nation if I'm correct," reflected Chio. "Why would the Rikage choose to hold it there?" asked Kankuro. "Doesn't the Land of Iron not have any shinobi? The Jinchuriki would be sitting ducks for Akatsuki there." "No," rebutted Chio. "The Land of Iron's no pushover. There's a reason they haven't been taken over by enemy nations despite not having shinobi. The samurai of the Land of Iron are exceptionally strong and can go toe-to-toe with even the 5 great nations. Unlike your father and his silly alliances, they value their own strength." "Very well," said Gaara. "Kankuro, please inform the messenger that Suna will be present." "What? Are you sure, Gaara? This has to be some sort of trap," argued Kankuro. "If it wasn't for the fact that the summit is being held in the Land of Iron, then I would agree," replied Gaara. "But what makes the Land of Iron special? It's not like they're our allies," argued Kankuro. "They are more our allies than our enemies," said Gaara. "Wait, I know what you're referring to," said Tamari, earning the look of confusion from Kankuro. "That's right, You were still in the hospital when Naruto was here, Temari said to her puppet-using brother. Naruto told us a story about his journey with Jiraiya-sama. Apparently, there's a family of Uzumakis living in the Land of Iron. I still don't see how that would mean anything, said Chio. I wouldn't, if it wasn't for the fact that the Uzumakis were the wife and family of Mifune-sama himself, said Temari. And Naruto? It sounded like they were rather close, said Gaara. In the event of an incident regarding Kumagakure, the Land of Iron is more likely to ally with Uzumaki, Naruto and Konoha, despite being a neutral nation. Iwagakure. Gramps? Asked Kurotsuchi. The Tsuchikage, Aniki, had just received the Raikage's request to convene for a summit of the 5 Kages in the Land of Iron. However, the one thing that caught his attention was the request for the Jinchuriki to attend. His granddaughter, Kurotsuchi, couldn't help but worry as a look found its way into Aniki's old eyes. So, this means there's a chance that Namikaze Brat will be there as well, said Aniki. Kurotsuchi, go fetch Roshi for me, will you? The younger Jonin hesitated for a moment before setting off to fulfill her grandfather's request. What are you thinking, Gramps? It didn't take too long for Kurotsuchi to find Roshi and escort him to her grandfather's office. Roshi, what are your thoughts on the Namikaze Brat? He killed my best friend, replied Roshi. And he's a major threat to Iwagakure's power. Perhaps there might be an opportunity to avenge Han, said Aniki. I'll do anything for the glory of Iwa, especially if it means I can avenge Han, said Roshi. That's good to hear, Roshi, said Aniki. You've always been one of my go-to shinobi due to your love of the village. A knock was heard on the Tsuchikage's office door and the old man signaled for whoever it was to enter. You're, gasped Roshi. It's been a long time, Daichi, said Aniki. Have you finally gotten over your son's betrayal? Konohagakure. Tsunade-sama, are you really going to agree to the Raikage's request to bring Naruto and Fu? Asked Shizune. Tsunade sighed. Even she wasn't sure what she would do. Even she had to admit the Raikage had some balls for requesting all the Jinchuriki to appear. She knew his reasoning. To get an accurate count on which Jinchuriki weren't in Akatsuki's hand. Also, she had a feeling Killer Beast's tendency to go out on his own had something to do with it. If B was present, then A could keep an eye on his brother. Suna was obviously going to send their Jinchuriki considering Gaara was also the Kazekage. As for Iwa and Kiri, she honestly had no idea. The Hokage knew how Naruto was when it came to the other Jinchuriki. If Naruto were in the dark, then perhaps she could leave without worrying about him tailing her, but that was not the case as the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki knew about the summit. Naruto would come regardless of what. She said. As for Fu, the last thing she wanted to do was leave her alone in the village with Danzo. She had hoped the Aburame would keep the secret close, but it was obvious based on her conversation with the elders a few months ago that there was a mole and Danzo was keeping a close eye on Fu. Could she leave Fu alone in the village? No, she would have to come to or else she risked Danzo swaying Fu under his control. Yes, I do, resolved Tsunade, causing Shizune to let out a sigh. You and I both know Danzo's looking for the right time to make his move on either of them. But what could Danzo do? Asked Shizune. And why do you put up with him if he's just causing you so many problems? It was true, Tsunade could order her Anbu to assassinate Danzo and make it look like an accident, but there was the issue of route. She figured Danzo was the type of man to have some sort of contingency plan in case of his death or disappearance and she didn't want to risk a Rouge militant group causing trouble in Konoha. And then, there was the role that Danzo's route played, taking Konoha's dirty missions. She'd be lying if she wasn't aware that there were some missions Konoha had to take, but couldn't at the same time. She was working on phasing Danzo's involvement in Konoha's affairs out, but the old Warhawk had been putting up a strong resistance to her efforts. The morning of the Raikage's departure was interesting to say the least. The previous night, Killer B held an impromptu concert in Senju Park, hoping to spread the joys and beats of Enka beyond the walls of Kumagakure. While B thought the concert was a success, that didn't mean Konoha shared the same taste in music as him. While there were the very few who actually liked B's killer beats, the majority of the populace spent most of the concert searching for rotten fruit. Thankfully for everyone's sanity, the concert was short-lived as a guest made his appearance on stage in a fashion that would have made a certain bushy-browed Jonin proud. Flashback. This town sure knows how to get down to my killer beats. Oh, yeah, said B as he just finished his second song, a new record for his foreign concerts. Most of the crowd was silent for a moment, trying to figure out what it was exactly that was raping their eardrums. There were even some shopkeepers who figured they'd take advantage of this and clear out the old fruit from their inventory. "Now Konoha, brace yourself for my newest hit single, Bakayaro Kanoyoro," announced B. Dropkick. "Yeah, time to let those kicks drop, huh?" A massive crash demolished the makeshift stage, and as the clouds of dust cleared, B was buried underneath the rubble, the one and only Raikage standing on top. "B. I told you to behave," shouted the Raikage. Needless to say, the Raikage earned the first round of applause for the night. End flashback. Early the next morning, the Raikage, Yugi Ito-ni, and a battered B departed back for Kumagakure while Imoi, Samui, and Kuro were sent to deliver messages to Kirigakure, Sunagakure, and Iwagakure respectively regarding the upcoming Cage Summit. Later that day. "Being stuck in the village sucks," groaned Naruto. "Bakken won't even let me go to Dad's training ground. And I think I almost had a way to transfer Kurama's conscience into a clone too, but I can't just go playing around with Kyuubi chakra in the village." "You're telling me. And I was looking away from getting out of this ramen-infested seal," commented Kurama. "And what's wrong with that? Need I even go there?" groaned the Kyuubi, giving Naruto a bit of a laugh. Still, Naruto had used this time as a perfect opportunity to help Karen move into an apartment. She had been taking over Naruto's apartment for the few days she was in the village and not in the hands of the interrogation department. While living with an actual family member was a nice change, he wanted his bed back after realizing the couch wasn't as comfortable as he remembered. Thankfully, the apartment just next door was available, and Naruto now found himself, Karen, and a few of his slaves, carrying some basic furniture through the streets. This should hold her long enough for them to save up and purchase the land required to build a clan compound. While Karen was arranging her apartment how she wanted, Naruto returned to his own and grabbed the archive scroll from Mazoshi before taking off for the Hokage's tower. Tsunade had offered him a storage vault where he could keep the archives until he was able to establish a clan library, and the Hokage was also interested in getting her hands on all the medical scrolls that came from Uzu. Unfortunately for Naruto, he got a little caught up with sorting through the archives and lost track of time, exiting the tower late in the afternoon and coming face to face with an impatient Karen. "You said you would show me some of the clan techniques after I finished up with the apartment," scolded Karen. "Sorry, Karen Nijin," replied Naruto. "I guess it didn't take you that long to get situated if you just got here." "Just got here? I've been waiting outside for 3 hours," shouted Karen. "You promised me you'd teach me how to use my sword. Or maybe I'll just go ask Sasuke-kun." "TSK, like Sasuke could teach you the proper way to hack someone's limbs off," said Suigetsu, appearing directly behind the female Uzumaki, startling her and causing her to unleash her built-up temper upon the young Hozuki as she punched Suigetsu hard in the head, causing it to splatter. Naruto freaked out at this, and Kurama couldn't help but panic as the memories of a certain Uzumaki woman from his past came back to haunt him. However, Suigetsu's body just stood there as his head miraculously reappeared, causing Naruto to freak out even more. "That's the Hozuki's hydrification bloodline," commented Zabuza as he appeared behind Naruto. "As annoying as it is, it's an incredibly useful bloodline that makes it difficult to kill him. What do you say, Gaki? Care to show these amateurs how a true swordsman wields a blade?" As they relocated to a nearby training ground, Naruto and Zabuza had a friendly spar with one another, with Karen watching, trying to take in as much about the fighting style her clan was renowned for, while Suigetsu just scoffed, wishing that the blade Zabuza wielded was his own. "I'll admit, Gaki, you wield that blade with skill. But it's just weird seeing a katana-style blade wielded with one hand most of the time," said Zabuza, a grin appearing underneath his bandage mask. "The Uzumaki Kenjutsu style certainly is unique in that sense." "What exactly does he mean by that, Niazan?" called out Karen. "While our ancestors were mainly water chakra users, there was also a strong presence of wind chakra within them too. Mifune-sensei said this wind chakra made it so their blades would cut easily," explained Naruto. "They could wield their swords one-handed because they didn't need the extra strength to cut." "Eh? I think I'm starting to like these Uzumakas a little better," grinned Suigetsu, before turning to Karen. "Well, most of them anyways." "No one asked you." Naruto chuckled a little before sheathing his sword and pulling out a pair of his tri-pronged knives, holding each of them in a reverse grip. "Huh, I almost forgot you had those," mused Zabuza. "Yeah, I've found myself using my sword more, but I actually still like using these, especially when I need to get right up in someone's face," said Naruto. Why would you sacrifice a perfectly fine sword for those puny things? Shrugged Suigetsu. Will you stop it already? Niazen knows what he's doing, shouted Karen. But yeah, what makes those better in close combat? It was Zabuza who spoke up, slightly irritated by Suigetsu's ignorance and weapon styles. He would give the girl more leeway for now as she was still rather inexperienced when it came to weapons. Suigetsu on the other hand should have learned this stuff a while ago. Swords like Blondie's katana or Mikubi Karabocho require a little distance between you and your opponent to set up for an attack. Those knives are much smaller and agile, better for when you can't put a little distance between your opponent. This should have been something you learned the day you entered the 7 Swordsman recruitment program. Care to give them a demonstration? Naruto nodded as Zabuza made half a dozen water clones and unleashed them upon Naruto, who went to work dispatching them with the knives. Given the smaller size of the blade, he found it easier to slip in and out of the clone's guards and strike. Repeating the demonstration with the katana, it was obvious taking on so many foes was more difficult with a less agile blade, until he was down to just 1 or 2 clones, before Zabuza spoke again. Blondie's knives are better suited for a battle against multiple opponents, whereas the sword is best for a single opponent. Hyuga Compound. As Neji entered the Hyuga compound following a short mission with his team, a scream ripped through the compound originating from the clan hall. Upon hearing this, Neji saw a fellow Hyuga that he knew as Hyuga Satoko rush towards the building. He was fairly certain that he knew what was going on, the elders. As Neji rushed over towards the clan hall, he saw Satoko on the ground next to her daughter, a young genin by the name of Sachiko, a member of the Hyuga branch family under the effects of the seal, being cast by the elder Iroh. "Please Iroh-sama, please forgive my daughter," begged Satoko as her daughter cried out in pain. "Your daughter was witnessed performing non-approved techniques earlier," commented Iroh. "I believe I've made it very clear in the past that such techniques were beneath the clan. But Iroh-sama, she was just trying to prepare for the Chunin exams that will be coming to Konoha in a few months," said Satoko. She wanted to make sure she was prepared so she could represent her clan with honor. Iroh simply replied by turning the seal towards the mother as well, and now there were 2 screaming branch members on the floor. It was then that a lavender blur came rushing past Neji, positioning herself between Iroh and the 2 Hyuga women. With a quick flip of her hand, Hinata knocked Iroh's seal out of position, cancelling the pain. This wasn't the first time Hinata had gotten between the elders and their attempts to use the seal to subjugate the branch members, and it most certainly wouldn't be the last. The Hyuga woman had gained quite a reputation amongst the branch members as a sort of savior. Thanks to the elders' greed, she could oppose them without any direct ramifications, and she would do just that to protect her family. Iroh growled at Hinata and she returned a resolved glare. Reeling his hand back as the only one in the clan truly immune to the caged bird seal just stood there, willing to take his outlash so long as she remained there to prevent him from using the seal to torment 2 members of her clan and family, Iroh lashed out. Hinata braced herself for the impact of Iroh's palm against her face, but the impact never came as a hand reached out from behind her and grabbed Iroh's wrist. Neji had finally had enough. Out of all the elders, Iroh was the most liberal when it came to using the seal. So many of his fellow clansmen suffering at the elders' arrogant mindset. Was he ready to take on Iroh or his son, Kenjo, in battle? The answer to that question was irrelevant, as he was in no way, shape, or form going to allow harm to come to Hinata-sama. Iroh looked up to see the onlooking Neji. "And what do you want?" gritted Iroh. "I've stood by long enough, Iroh," Neji declared. "I'm invoking the clan's right of challenge." The eyes on all 3 Hyuga women widened. Hinata knew this day was going to come eventually, but Satoko and Sachiko? Neji Niazen. "So, this is what you want, eh? I'll give you 1 chance. Apologize now, get on your hands, beg, and I may overlook this act of insubordination," threatened Iroh. "No," rejected Neji. "For too long, the clan has suffered under your guidance. Through your actions, you've weakened the clan. It's not the clan's interests you have in mind, it's your own." Iroh growled at the Hyuga prodigy, ready to activate the seal on Neji's forehead for his insubordination. "Iroh, enough," called out Hiyashi as he entered the clan hall to investigate. "You know the clan laws." "Very well," relented Iroh. "Seeing as the Hokage is leaving the village on official business, we will hold the challenge sometime when she returns so that she can be present to officiate it, as clan laws state." With that, Iroh stepped out of the hall while sending Hiyashi a glare. The clan head and elders had butted heads for too long. Perhaps watching his nephew suffer would put the clan head in his place. Are you sure you're ready? Hiyashi asked his nephew. Whether or not I am, I've had enough of watching Iroh subjugate the rest of the clan like this. Not to mention, I won't allow him to bring harm to Hinata-sama, resolved Neji. Then you are, thought Hiyashi. Hisashi, are you watching? Later that night, Naruto lay in his bed, his attention drawn to his dad's kunai. It had been a while since he'd actually used these in combat, and Zabuza was right about them being better suited for close combat against multiple opponents, whereas the katana was best if he had to switch to a sort of mid-ranged fighting mode or he was fighting just a single opponent. Naruto's eyes drifted down the knife, towards the seal on the kunai. During their journey, Jiraiya admitted to not having the two tri-pronged kunai he gave him made, but rather they were the last of Minato's stock. They didn't have the marker seal, and Jiraiya informed him that the Sandaime had all of Minato's kunai destroyed. The only ones that had remained were the two unmarked ones Jiraiya had given him, the blade Kakashi kept as a memento of his late sensei, and the unmarked Hirashin kunai Tenten's father had on display at his shop. At least, that was until this Hirashin kunai appeared out of the scroll left for him by his parents. He really hadn't had a chance to think on it much lately with the past missions and Akatsuki, but now that he was temporarily confined to the village, he started to wonder. Had his dad left him this kunai for a reason? He had already used the seal copying technique on the seal, and while it produced a larger matrix than what was visible on the kunai, the seal seemed like it was missing something. It was only part of a seal. There had to be more to it, but where? Perhaps it was time he started working on the very jutsu his dad was known for. The only question was where to start. Hokage's office. A few days later, Momoyuki Zabuza had been called to the Hokage's office to discuss something regarding his future with the village. Needless to say, the former demon of the mist couldn't help but sweat a little. He had only tried to escape the village twice in the past month and was hoping the Hokage wouldn't strip him of his rank, or worse. Momochi Zabuza, do you know why I've called you to my office? Asked Tsunade sternly. If it's about my recent attempts to flee the village, you must understand, Hokage-sama, some days I just can't take it anymore. Guy, he's just so suffocating at times, cried Zabuza, causing Tsunade to let out a little chuckle. Don't worry, I'm not mad at you for that. In fact, I have a solution to your little guy problem, chuckled Tsunade. It's a rather important assignment that will take up a good amount of your time, so Guy can challenge you to any more of his ridiculous rivalry challenges. You three can come in. Zabuza turned to see Hozuki Suigetsu, Isaribi, and Uzumaki Karen step through the door, all wearing a Konoha headband somewhere on their person. Suigetsu had on a tight-fitting purple vest and black pants. He also had what appeared to be a pair of scimitars strapped to his back, giving the swordsman in training some form of blade with which he could satisfy his lust for hacking and slashing. However, it was clearly obvious that his eyes were locked on the sword Zabuza wielded, and he wouldn't be truly satisfied with his weapons until one of the 7 swords was strapped to his back. Karen had on a light purple jacket that flared open just above her navel and a pair of black shorts. She also had standard black sandals with high legging that reached up to mid-thigh. Along with this, she had sewn a white Uzumaki crest, similar to the one Naruto had, on the sleeve of her jacket, with her Konoha headband tied around her other arm. Despite her lack of experience with it, Karen also wielded the sword she found in her grandmother's locker back in Uzu. Lastly, Isaribi wore what appeared to be a tight black dive wetsuit. While it didn't look like standard shinobi attire, it was ideal particularly for her due to her camoforming abilities in the water. As for weapons, she just had the standard kunai pouch on her leg. Tsunade-sama, is this? Asked Zabuza, slightly afraid to find out the answer. Meet your new Genin team. Chirped Tsunade. You can't be serious, Hokage-sama, argued Zabuza. Oh, I most certainly am, said Tsunade. I've put much thought into it and I concluded you'd be the best guide for these 3. First, you're the strongest water user within the village and all the shinobi here have water-natured chakra. Second, Suigetsu already has some kenjutsu training, while Karen definitely has shown an interest if what Naruto's saying is anything to go by, and Isaribi's Kaima form gives her Finn sword-like characteristics. Lastly, as a Jonin of Konohagakure no Sato, it is your duty to guide the Genin so that they can mature into splendid shinobi. Besides, you'll be so busy training these guys that you won't have time for Guy's silly antics. I witnessed your little sparring session with Naruto the other day and how you were explaining kenjutsu to Karen and Suigetsu. You'll make a fine sensei. Zabuza-sensei, grinned Suigetsu with a sharky grin. What? Why do I have to be on a team with him? shouted Karen as she pointed towards Suigetsu. "Geez, what's got your panties in a bundle?" grumbled Suigetsu. 1. You're creepy, and 2. Your chakra's revolting. "I can barely stand next to you without vomiting," said a flustered Karen. "Can't I at least be on someone's team who is more pleasant chakra like Sasuke-kun's?" "TSK. I still don't get what's so great about that guy," shrugged Suigetsu. "What's she talking about? Revolting and pleasant chakra?" Zabuza asked Tsunade. "Karen seems to have a unique sensory ability that's far more advanced than almost anything I've seen," said Tsunade. "I see. The Uzumaki girl and Isaribi seem interesting, but do I really have to take them?" groaned Zabuza. "I've caught him trying to steal my sword at least half a dozen times in the past few weeks. It's either this or I give you 3 Genon fresh out of the academy," said Tsunade. Zabuza sighed. "Very well, I'll take them on as my students and whip them into shape." The ex-Kari ninja sent a particularly sadistic glare towards Suigetsu. "That's wonderful," smiled Tsunade. "Now, the next Chunin exams are to be held in Konoha 4 months from now. The final decision will be up to you, but I'd like you to try and have them ready for the upcoming exams. Don't worry, after I'm through with them, the Chunin exams will be the least of their worries," chuckled Zabuza sadistically. "Great. Now, I just so happen to have your first mission," said Tsunade as she handed Zabuza a scroll. "Could you please go fetch Portora for Madame Shijimi?" "The sealing of the Rakubi is complete," announced the ripple-eyed leader of Akatsuki as the third eye on the Geto Mazo statue opened. "With only 6 of us, that sure took a lot longer, said Datara. "All that time that could have been better spent on my art, wasted." "If I'm hearing right, you're starting to sound a little like Sasori," commented Kisame. "What can I say, I miss my man Sasori, replied Datara. "Though, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I also miss Itachi. That punk will pay for taking Itachi away before he could experience my true art." "Zetsu, what do you have to report on the other targets?" asked the Akatsuki leader. "The Kages have called a summit in the Land of Iron. All of the Jinchuriki are to be present as well," commented the Akatsuki spy master. "Ooh. It's like a Jinchuriki party. Cheer Toby. Can we go, senpai? Can we? Can we?" "Shut it, Toby. Keep that up and I might just have to assign you a cause of death," retorted Datara. "May, so you're just going to bomb me to death," shrugged Toby, only causing Datara temper to soar as a massive explosion shook the Akatsuki base where the two were located at. "Our actions have made the nations aware of us," commented Zetsu. "Taking on the 5 Kage and the Jinchuriki would be suicide. We have already suffered enough losses with Sasori, Hidan, Kakuzu, and Itachi. We can't afford any more losses," commented leader. "However, the hatred of the shinobi world will prevent them from coming together entirely to oppose us. And while they continue to squabble amongst themselves, opportunities to capture the bijou will present themselves." "You sound so confident in that, Leader Sama," commented Kisame. "The pain the villages know cannot be overcome," replied the leader. "I sense an opportunity will present itself soon because of this." Ooh, let me, screamed Toby as he waved his hand around like a 5th grader. Somehow, the newest Akatsuki member didn't have a scorch mark on him from Datara's latest artistic outburst. "Are you sure Toby's up to the job? Catching a bijou is tough work," commented White Zetsu. "Toby has to start somewhere. Besides, Toby is a good boy," replied Black Zetsu. Konoha gates, 5 days before the summit, gathered at the gates were Tsunade and her escorts Kakashi and Yamato, as well as Konoha's 2 Jinchuriki, Uzumaki, Naruto and Fu. Also gathered were a number of shinobi, Genin rank through Jonin rank, there to see their Hokage off. The news of Akage's summit was huge, and add in the fact that just weeks ago, the Raikage was in Konoha, well, there was something going on. There were those who knew what the summit was about and were keeping quiet for the time. There were the younger, less experienced shinobi who were trying to figure out what exactly was going on. And then there were the more experienced shinobi that knew this was something to be kept secret until the time came for it to be divulged. "It's going to be 5 days of hard traveling to get to the Land of Iron," said Tsunade. "Shikaku, I'm leaving the village in your hands until we return. Let's get a move on it." The Hokage's 4 companions nodded before the 5 of them disappeared into the forest at high speed. As was common when something such as Akage's summit occurred, the missions taken by Konoha were minimal and only those critical to the nation's and village's security were taken. Everyone else was added to extra guard teams. In a sense, this made it easier for the interim leader to function without doing anything that desperately required the Hokage's input and decision. The evening before summit, the team from Konoha arrived at the gates to Sengaku, the capital city of the Land of Iron. Greeting them at the gate was none other than the military leader of the Land of Iron, the Shogun Mifune. "Hokage-sama, we've been waiting for you. I am Mifune, and I am the leader of the Land of Iron," announced the samurai. "However, you already knew that." "It's good to see you again, old friend," greeted Tsuanade as she offered Mifune a friendly hand. "It certainly is," returned Mifune. "Kazekage Dono, Reikage Dono, and Mizukage Dono have already arrived. We are just waiting on Tsuchikage Dono. My grandson, Hiro, will show you to your quarters where you may rest until tomorrow's summit." From behind Mifune, a familiar man stepped out, clad in full samurai armor. To Naruto, his distant cousin looked exactly as he remembered, only slightly older and with a more experienced face on his shoulders. The only significant difference Naruto could detect was Hiro had his longer hair tied in a top-knot style, rather than the ponytail he remembered. "It's a pleasure to be of service, Hokage-sama," bowed Hiro. "My name's Uzumaki Hiro and I'll escort you to your accommodations." Despite knowing that this man did in fact bear Uzumaki blood, she still found herself pleasantly surprised by the name. Even Naruto found himself surprised by Hiro. Of course, Hiro's current duties required him to professional, rather than stubborn and brash cousin he knew. "It's good to see you again, Uzumaki." Naruto greeted Mifune as the Hokage and her companions stepped into the city. "It's good to be back, sensei," replied Naruto. Yamato was surprised by the way Naruto addressed the man greeting them. While Tsunade and Kakashi knew Naruto had studied under this man, the wood user had not been briefed on that. As Mifune closed the gates behind him, Hiro escorted the Konoha contingent towards their living arrangements before giving them some time to settle in. Shortly after settling in, a knock came on the door to everyone's attention. "You up for ramen, cousin?" asked Hiro from the other side of the door. Naruto figured that Hiro must have been relieved from duty for the night and he wouldn't mind catching up with his cousin over a hot bowl of ramen. "You know it. T-bio!" exclaimed Naruto. "First, can we get a few friends? Fu?" "Coming!" cheered the green-haired Jinchuriki. The local ramen bar was making a killing that night. Alone, both Naruto and Hiro could eat most of the bar out of its food. Now, add 4 others who possessed an abnormally strong liking for the food and even the ramen bar couldn't keep up. While their efforts paled in comparison to the 2 Uzumakis, Gaara, Yugito, Fu, and Killer Bee still managed to pile a few bowls, all while Kurama kept muttering something about his father and ramen addicts. Walking back through the town, a light snow fell upon the Land of Iron. Despite it being late August, the northern location accompanied by the altitude of the Land of Iron made it so it snowed most of the year, with maybe a few months of warmer weather in June, July, and early August. Running ahead of Naruto was his fellow green-haired Jinchuriki, twirling in the streets at the sight of a white blanket falling upon the town. He couldn't help but chuckle at the girl's antics. "That's right, Konoha is warmer than here. We get some snow, but it doesn't last very long," mused Naruto. Being much further south than the Land of Iron, Konoha was in a much warmer climate, and while snowfalls occurred during the middle of winter, they wouldn't last very long. Even he couldn't resist the urge to pick up a pile of snow, roll it into a ball and throw it at Fu. However, the energetic Jinchuriki somehow managed to catch it and send it sailing right back towards Naruto, knocking him square in the face. "You're going to have to do better than that," cheered Fu as she taunted Naruto. It warmed him up a little seeing the green-haired girl acting like this, as he remembered how she was during the Kumo Chunin exams, depressed, lost, and just looking for someone to call a friend. However, after taking her in, it wasn't long before almost everyone in Konoha realized how much energy she had if she was happy. The grin disappeared off Fu's face as dozens of Naruto popped into existence, all armed with snowballs. Quickly Fu took to the skies in an attempt to dodge the flurry of snowballs, but she unable to dodge them all as a few nicked her wings, causing her to crash into a nearby snowbank. Fu could only help but laugh at Naruto helped pull her out of the snowbank. "I remember in Taki, going up to the top layers of the hero's tree. It was like there was a whole other world just a few hundred feet above us," said Fu. Naruto sent her a questioning look. "The tree was so large that it covered our entire village. It was so thick that the snow couldn't get through the first few layers. The snow's one of the very few things I miss about Taki." A slight silence between the two was broken when Naruto caught a glimpse of the Mizukage, if the signature quadrilateral hat on his back was anything to go by. To him, the Mizukage looked like a boy, even younger than him, with grayish-brown hair, pink eyes, and a scar below his left eye. However, that wasn't what caught Naruto's attention. Looking over Afu, he could tell she sensed it too. "San. I see. The Mizukage's a Jinchuriki as well," replied Naruto to his demon companion. Out of the corner of his eye, Fu sent him a nod, indicating she was aware as well. With all the Jinchuriki in one place, Naruto couldn't help but wonder if everyone being here was a good thing or not. "Orochimaru-sama, how do you feel?" "Excellent, Kabuto," said the Snake Sanin. "I must say, you've surely outdone yourself with this new vessel." "I aim to please. Also, I've heard an interesting bit of news going around," said Kabuto. "Yes. Sasuke-kun killed Itachi-kun," hissed Orochimaru. Now that Sasuke's main driving factor was out of the picture, any hope the Snake Sanin had at manipulating Sasuke through the hatred of his brother was gone. He'd have to resort to other means at convincing Sasuke to join him, willingly or not. "Sir, perhaps it is time we shift focus back towards Sasuke," proposed Kabuto. "No. There's a more urgent matter that needs attended to," stated Orochimaru. "Little Anko-chan, huh?" realized Kabuto. "Yes. How did she remove the cursed seal? I simply must know," scowled Orochimaru. "Do we have any spies in Konoha?" "I believe there are a few still, Orochimaru-sama. Although they aren't in any significant position," said Kabuto. "Still, send orders to them. I want to know Anko's every move," ordered Orochimaru. "I need to find how she removed the mark, and I intend to pry the answer out of her." That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.